coming out here tonight. So the theme tonight, what I was going to talk about is moving from a war economy to a peace economy. We haven't been in a peace economy here in the United States since being a history major, probably before World War I. Ever since then, we have either been in active wars, or we have been preparing for wars. We have been in what they call covert actions. And since especially World War II, like Richard said, we have been an economy that has been based on making weapons and exporting death and destruction. It has only gotten worse in the Bush administration. And the only reason it's gotten worse is because they're so arrogant they don't even care if we know it. And the things, when I look back on my life, just my life, not even being a history major, going past, say, 1965, when I begin to remember things, is that the neocons, I don't remember the neocons from 1965, but they were active. In the early 60s is when Leo Strauss started the neoconservative movement. And people like William Crystal's dad, Irving, joined. And it's been a decades-long plan to put us right where we are today. Do you think it's an accident that our military draft was taken away? Do you think it was because all of a sudden the government had compassion for families and their children? Do you think it's an accident that there's been a decades-long consolidation of the corporate media? That the deregulation went full speed ahead in the Clinton administration? Yeah, Clinton should have been impeached, but not for what he was impeached for. And the systematic dismantling of our communities and our families, this economic oppression that has only accelerated during the Bush regime. During the Bush regime, they passed something with bipartisan support from one of Nancy Pelosi's great friends, George Miller, who used to be my congressperson. They passed something called No Child Left Behind. It's, yeah, just a big lie, just like the Clean Air Act and the Clear Water Act. No Child Left Behind leaves every child behind. Except for people like Nancy Pelosi's children, who paid more for her children's elementary school than most people do for university. So the children of the elite, of the property classes, are always protected. No Child Left Behind. It has dismantled our education system. And a very little known fact is that the president's brother, Neil, profits off of No Child Left Behind. He sells many school districts the tests that are required to pass. It's all about profit. And it's all about sucking our communities and our families dry. Okay? Universities are complaining that the children can't qualify to go to their schools anymore because of No Child Left Behind. Even if they could qualify, they can't afford it. George Bush has also reduced the amount of Pell Grants, the amount of governmental to help people go through college. They have taken away music and art and drama out of our schools. They have taken away critical thinking. They don't want their robots to be critical thinkers. And the most devious part of No Child Left Behind, besides the fact that the teachers are there any teachers in here tonight? That the teachers are under pressure to have their children pass this test. And I honor the teachers who have refused to give these tests. Yeah. To get federal money must admit recruiters to the schools. Unless the parent does a little known act of opting out. And I have heard from dozens of parents that even though they opted out, the recruiter is still targeting their children. To me, recruiters in schools are as bad as sexual predators in schools. Prey on our children. And so when a child graduates from high school after passing all these just arbitrary tests to get out, what option does that child have? Unless they are a child of the elite of the war machine, they can't afford to go to college. They've even started to make community colleges in California prohibitive. And you know what they do as soon as there's a budget crisis? They start thinking, how can we cut education? Right. Not how can we stand up to the war machine? How can we stop sending all our tax dollars to support the death and destruction? No, they say, how can we cut education? How can we make it more difficult for our children to attend college? Well, that's where Casey found himself in May of 2000. He had struggled through community college. Not only do you have your tuition, but you have to pay for books and parking and driving and your time taken away from work to study for tests. So if you're a member of the working class, you're putting yourself through school by working full-time, trying to go through school. So Casey had finished that part of his education. Found himself not to be able to afford to go on to the next level. So he bought in to the join the army and get an education bull crap. He joined the army and was killed. And so do you think it's an accident that they make elementary and secondary education so crappy? And they make college so expensive? What is a kid to do? Flip burgers for the rest of his life or her life? Well, I say I'd rather have Casey flipping burgers than where he is right now. But how do we switch from this economy that, like I said, sucks the life out of families and communities? First, our country spends $635 billion a year on defense. And I say defense, because it's not used to defend